That time I accidentally dated a sociopath. It has taken me many years to tell this story out of both fear and embarrassment. I share this today as more than simply therapy for myself, but as a warning to all people: be careful who you meet on social media. 2018, my ex-husband and I were at the end of a very tumultuous marriage. He and I had been polyamorous for about 3 years before I met this guy. His name was Jez. I met Jez on OkCupid. I was 28 and he was 42. We hit it off very quickly. After a few weeks of talking, I agreed to meet up with him at a restaurant close to my house. We sat and talked for a few hours before I invited him over to meet my husband. Things went well and they seemed to get along, so Jez and I started dating. This guy completely swept me off my feet. Jez was sweet and caring. He enthusiastically listened to every little thing on my mind, engaged, and validated me. Over and over again, he absolutely revered me for my strength and wisdom. He practically worshipped me for all that I was and I was becoming. He showered me with gifts, flowers, and random good deeds just to make me feel safe, wanted, and cared for. I had never been in a relationship that felt quite like that. It was wonderful. It was as though we had been looking for each other for years. For the first weeks, he had a meltdown over my polyamorous nature. Pulled the plug because he said he was already falling for me and couldn't handle sharing me. I stood my ground and accepted this boundary and the fact that I would have to let him go. I left that night, sad but confident that I had done the right thing for the both of us. The next week he sent me flowers and a card to my workplace, begging for another chance and reassuring me that he would rather try than not and end up regretting it. Even though it was scary, he wanted to take this journey with me. We continued dating and it was just as wonderful. Long nights we spent awake, talking, sharing, laughing, lovemaking, and planning. We went places and did things that I had always wanted to do. Then in the deepest, most intimate moments, when we would just sit in silence, he would grip my hands to his face in solidarity and astonishment, asking where I've been all this time. Our time together was effortless. We fit together like puzzle pieces. By August of 2018, my marriage had ended by no fault of Jez's, and by October, my husband had moved out. I was on a lease at the time and knew I couldn't afford a place of my own, so finding a roommate was essential. I had no support system to fall back on, nor did anyone else I know needed a place to stay, so Jez offered to move in with me. Even then I was hesitant. We had only been together about 4 months, and I knew everything always changes when you move in with a partner. Despite my hesitation, I agreed. He was wonderful to me. How bad could it be? I was not prepared for the change that was to come. It was literally like night and day. Jez suddenly became a different person. He was extremely controlling, jealous, and lazy. Nothing like the person I thought I had met. And the way he treated me progressively got worse and worse. Hanging out with friends became a burden, if not impossible, because he would blow up my phone, guilting me about leaving him alone or not involving him in some way. Yet when I tried to, it was also treated as a burden and inconvenience, as he would huff and puff his way through even the concept of leaving space for anyone but ourselves. In December of 2018, we attended my work's Christmas party. I had given him the option whether he wanted to go or not. It was really neither here nor there for me, especially because I had already learned that he really didn't do well if he felt pressured into social situations. I opened the invitation to him because he had expressed to me over and over that it was important for him that he was involved in my social life. For the full month he knew about it. He insisted that he wasn't going. I took it as him being introverted and didn't push the issue. I let him know that I would make sure he felt welcome if he decided to go, but not to feel obligated. I was surprised when he changed his mind at the last minute and insisted on going, and even more stunned when we went and he actively acted as though he did not want to be there. Everyone there was incredibly welcoming and included him in the festivities and conversation. However, he still practically grumbled the entire night about the whole thing, mumbling insults and critiquing every little part of the party under his breath, as though being there was absolutely awful to have to endure. No one really seemed to notice the low, whispering insults and gripes. At one point, after a couple of glasses of wine, my direct manager leaned into Jess and started praising him. She and I were very close, therefore she was immediately familiar with what I had gone through with my ex-husband. "I am so happy she has you," she belated through wine happy. "You have been absolutely transformative for her. It's so nice to see her finally happy and appreciated." Without missing a beat, Jess grimaced at the comment and quickly snapped back, "You don't fucking know me." I honestly didn't believe my ears. It was one of those moments where time stops and you just know you couldn't have heard that correctly. I sat brewing on it for a minute before another light-hearted interaction with Jess prompted him to suddenly snap at me through gritted teeth. "Stop it." This triggered me and I lost it. I pulled him outside and asked him what his problem was. I called out his behavior and told him if he was going to act that way, that he could just leave. That if he didn't want to be there, he should have stayed home. He ended up giving a sort of half-assed apology, and we went back inside and finished the party. I remember the drive home that night, staring out the dark window at nothing in particular, in worried silence. I might have messed up, was my only thought through the entire drive. This all started out slow, of course, like waving me away or invalidating my experiences and ideas due to my age, that I was just dramatizing my experiences because I was young, etc. The man who not 6 months prior had validated me, my trauma and experiences to the ends of the earth, now every time I started a story or tried to share anything, even trying to plan out meals for the week, he would openly show annoyance as though I was violating his time and attention. Before I knew it, he was snapping at me over every little thing. If I asked how his day was or talked about my day, I would aggressively shut it down. "Why do you always ask me that? I don't want to talk shop at home. I really don't care about your work, it's work." Before I knew it, I couldn't even bring him a plate of breakfast without being snapped at. It was as though he was teasing me. When Jess and I first started dating, he flat out refused to talk about all of his exes. He refused to name them or discuss any of the issues or lessons learned. They didn't matter, he would claim. They weren't in his life for a reason. It was the same reasoning he also used in reference to my more recent exes. Talking about them, including my now ex-husband, may as well have been off limits. Anytime I brought up either of our exes, he would become incredibly agitated, belittling, and just overall very aggressive. I took this as both an age gap issue, as I have a tendency to dwell, as well as insecurity and a threat to the life he was trying to build. However, after he moved in, and this hot button topic has been extinguished, several times he would bring up his exes and how they looked, telling me on more than one occasion he would have never dated me back in the day, and that I was lucky he lowered his standards. I didn't even really know what to say to this. I would laugh it off and shove it in the back of pocket, noted. He then started bringing up my looks and accusing me of catfishing him. I had stopped taking care of myself due to the isolation and had also put on some weight, so most of my clothes that I had once felt great and no longer fit. And since Jez had also been dishonest with me about his financial position, he was always needing extra money here and there, leaving me broke almost all of the time. A horrible tragedy happened that following summer. While Jess and I were together, I received notice that a good friend I went to art school with shot himself in the head while tripping on LSD. Our whole class was devastated. He was without contest the best photographer of our class and one of the most kind-hearted individuals I've ever had the pleasure of knowing. Also, as someone who is very familiar with LSD, I was rocked. Jez, however, was far from supportive. He pretty much immediately shrugged it off. That's life. I guess that's what he gets for fucking around with LSD. I was baffled at such an unsympathetic response, and even more later when Jez started to interrogate me about my relationship with this guy, asking when the last time it was that I had even talked to this friend. You don't even know this guy anymore. Who cares? I broke up with him the first time after he called me at work raging. I was busy, so I wasn't able to answer right away, but once I was finally able to answer, I was met with intense anger. It was storming, and one of my dogs was having an anxiety attack due to the storm and separation anxiety. This wasn't the first time, and he was well aware of what she needed in those moments. Why the fuck aren't you answering my calls? You answer when I call you. I don't care when you are, where you are. He went on for a few minutes, calling me a shitty girlfriend and laying into me over my sudden distance and lack of communication while I was at work. I just looked how long the story is.
It's pretty long.
Okay, it's pretty long.
But this guy sounds like a huge walking red flag.
Yeah, this guy just... Okay, can I just quickly finish the story? Because I feel like we own the... Not... I'm gonna skip through a lot of this because this is so long. I didn't anticipate this thing to be so long. Mm-hmm. I'm just gonna go to the last parts. Okay, something happened. So basically this caused the fight to start again, and he started screaming at me, following me to my bedroom where he suddenly punched a door not 2 inches from my head. His eyes were black and he looked me in the eye, sending the clear, unsympathetic and hostile message that was a warning and next time he wouldn't miss. My whole system had shut down at this point and I sunk to the floor in a panic attack. My ex-husband had issues with violence. Just knew that. All our rentals prior to that, one had holes in walls and doors peppered throughout our unit due to my ex-husband's inability to handle his emotions, but he never hit me or even came close to it. I crumbled to the ground, feeling powerless, trapped and afraid. As my thoughts continued to race, he continued to berate and mock my panicked state. Most of our arguments from that night was a blur, but ended abruptly once he threatened to put my social security number on the dark web. At this point, all that was left in me was to fight. I blacked out and went ballistic, screaming at him to get out. I felt rabid and dangerous as I screamed like a banshee for him to leave my home. It was over and I was ending in that second. It was over and I contacted my landlord and explained what had been going on. Jez would also end up contacting her, weaving his own tale that I was moving out and tried to have the lease transferred into his name. Luckily, since I was several steps ahead of him, my landlord didn't fall for it and contacted me immediately. She personally came and changed my locks for me, gave me the personal contact of a police officer close by in case he showed up again, and took half of my rent for the next month. I am forever grateful to her for those simple acts of kindness that were above and beyond anything I would ever expect from a landlord. It took weeks for him to stop messaging me. The only reason I didn't block him was out of fear that he would show up at my house. Though I had contacts for protection, I knew I would rather get a daily apology video than have to deal with him on my doorstep, so they persisted. For a while, the same act from before, the love bombing, the promises, grasping at straws, trying to find the weak spot where I would let him back in, but I ignored it. It continued for weeks before he finally gave up. He bowed out gracefully, stating boldly that he will always love me. I left him on read. The illusion was destroyed. It took me several years to pick up the pieces. If my divorce wasn't enough, this definitely made me lose trust in myself. I don't understand what the endgame was. In one of our last discussions, I asked him desperately what happened to the guy I fell in love with. Jess looked me dead in the eye, smirked, and said, "That guy doesn't exist. I told you what I had to tell you in order to get you away from that husband of yours. You're just stupid and fell for it. Jess, let's not meet ever again." Okay, let's try to avoid relationship stories, because this was just a long one.
No, but it's pretty bad. But the guy, Jez, the worst guy ever. A complete butthole.
He's 42, and yeah. I mean, I don't even know how people get into these relationships, honestly.
Yeah, but last thing you said, I told you what I had to tell you in order to get you away from that husband of yours. You're just stupid and fell for it. I don't get it. Why did he had to take her away from the ex-husband? Like what's in it for him?
I don't know. This is just a really messy story where it just seems like this girl has a very bad time like picking partners.
Yeah, but I hope she's better now. I mean, it's been traumatizing, jeez.
Yeah, well.
And the landlord, whew. MVP of the year. I recorded the moment a guy came to my house with a gun. I am in university right now, but staying with my parents at their house for the summer. I was hanging out with one of my friends and we decided to go to a party. I met this guy around my age. We were talking and having fun, but it was nothing too serious, or so I thought. We exchanged phone numbers. We hanged out a couple of times, but he came incredibly clingy right from the start, so I decided to distance myself in the hope that he would get the hint and back off. When I stopped responding, he sent me over 100 messages, with each message becoming increasingly more aggressive as time went on.
Ooh, sounds like
a really clingy guy.
That sounds like a potential problem.
Keep in mind, it had been less than 2 weeks since we first met. I finally responded and told him he needed to chill out. He appeared to calm down a bit after I responded, but he then asked for a phone call. I agreed, and we talked for a while. He told me that he couldn't stop thinking about me, that I was the best thing that ever happened to him, etc. Just a bunch of stuff that is way too intense to say to someone you barely know. I tried to let him down gently, reminding him that I was only home for the summer and wasn't looking for anything serious beyond a fling. But this only made him angrier. He started yelling at me, insulting me, calling me a slut. Basically a complete 180 from what he had been saying mere minutes ago. And then all of a sudden, the phone went silent. After a pause, he said in a quiet voice, "You had better get ready because I'm coming over for you." Then he hung up the phone. This was very frightening because he knew my parents were out of town for the week and that I was staying at their house alone. However, he didn't know where my parents' house was because I was always the one driving. And he didn't know my friend either, so I thought he had no way of figuring it out. Since again, I'm normally living at school in another state. Regardless, I locked all the doors and shut the blinds just in case. After a while, maybe an hour or so, I fell asleep. When I woke up, I looked at my phone and saw a notification on my lock screen. It was from the Ring app, indicating there had been movement on my parents' camera. It was him. If you watch the video, you can clearly see something in his hand. When he notices the camera, however, he left. I immediately blocked him on everything and reported the incident. I have no idea what he planned to do once he got there. It was terrifying to realize that he had come over when I was asleep and defenseless and completely unaware of his presence. As I would later find out, he was able to get my address from my phone number. Apparently, he Googled it, and it returned to my dad's name as the owner of the phone number, along with my parents' address. Since I am on my parents' phone plan, I guess it shows up that I still live there. This revelation was horrifying, as I never knew my phone number could reveal my home address. I am extremely upset that this kind of private information is on the internet for anyone to find out, as it is incredibly dangerous that websites will just give out this information away to anyone. Please learn from my mistakes and do not give out your number to anyone unless you trust them. I found out that you could get free Google Voice number to text and call people, and that number can't be traced back to you so easily. My advice is to use a disposable number for anyone you're talking to that you meet informally or online. Still can't sleep at night. Hopefully this never happens to anyone else.
And we have the video. We can see a guy with what I think is a gun in his hand approaching, seems to be the garage.
Yeah, it seems so. Like an open garage.
Like an open garage. He looks like he's approaching the house with a gun.
It looks like a gun.
It's a gun. It's a gun. I definitely think it's a gun. Yeah, he's holding a gun. But he looks really young. He looks like
a teenager. Maybe like 14.
Where did he get the gun from? You know what I'm saying?
Dad. Mom.
Maybe. Can you finish the clip though? Let's see what happens next.
Saw the camera. Oops. Turned back around. Walked away.
Oh, he walked away after he saw the camera. Okay, so a teenage boy walks up to the house with a gun. What do you think would have happened?
I think he was just scaring her.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Because the way he walked up looked like he was gonna do something. Look.
Like he had the intention to actually fire?
I mean, look how he's walking up. Okay, wait. I mean, the way he's walking up, he looks like he's gonna shoot somebody. And then he sees the camera and then he's like... I mean, I don't know. I don't know what to make of this. But this is definitely messed up.
Mm-hmm.
Don't pick up hitchhikers. I was going to post this in the Creepy Encounters Reddit thread, but I think it may tread the line with this group of Let's Not Meet. So here I am. I, a 52-year-old female at the time, was traveling by car to an out-of-town job assignment. I had stopped at a popular and busy gas station travel stop. Okay, it was a Busey's.
Buc-ee's?
Oh, sorry, Buc-ee's.
Maybe. Busey's Buc-ee's?
Seems like Buc-ee's. To fill up the car, stretch my legs, use the restroom, and grab a snack. I was approached by a developmentally disabled woman who appeared to be in her mid-20s. She was looking for a ride to a town a couple of towns over. Her ride had abandoned her while she was in the restroom. She was a little upset. She didn't have a cell phone and didn't know any phone number, so I could call someone for her. I checked with the employees at the store, and they said that she had been there for an hour looking for a ride because she said her friends left her while she was in the restroom. I then made the decision to do something I never done before: offer a stranger a ride. I wasn't going to the town she wanted to go, but I was heading in that direction, and I told her I could drop her off at the grocery store in the next town where I would be turning off to go to my destination. The grocery store was always busy, and it was very likely she'd have an easier time getting a ride to where she wanted to go. Also, she'd be 5 miles away from where she wanted to go instead of 25 miles, and she'd have an easier time walking that distance if she had to. This was agreeable to her, and we set off. Right away, I noticed a van following us. Tried to lose the van, but it kept pace. Meanwhile, the woman wanted to play with my phone. I told her no, it wasn't a toy. It was for work, and I moved it out of her reach. The van speeds up and starts to get closer. The woman suddenly remembers her boyfriend's phone number, and we need to call him. I can't use my phone while driving, and I was approaching the outskirts of the business district of next town, and no cell phone use while driving signs everywhere. I told her we're almost to the grocery store. We can call him from the parking lot. She becomes agitated and yells, "No, you have to take me home." I told you I can't do that. I'm not going there. It's in the opposite direction of where I need to go, and I'm expected soon. We'll call him from the parking lot. She becomes more upset and frustrated. The van is getting closer. I pull into the grocery store parking lot. It's about 4 p.m. The grocery store is busy. I pull up in front of the store and ask for her boyfriend's number. She can't remember his number. She won't get out of the car. She's arguing with me, and the van is pulling into the parking lot. There is a sheriff's deputy parked nearby, and I roll down my window and signal that I need to speak to him. He walks over and asks me what's going on. I tell him where I met the woman and now she won't get out of the car, and under my breath, I tell him the van has been following us. The deputy tells the woman she brought you where you asked her to. It's time for you to leave her car now. She slowly gets out of the car, and I ask once more for her boyfriend's number, and she says, "You're crazy, I don't have a boyfriend. Oh look, there are my friends now." And she points to the damn van. The deputy and I share a look, and he says, "Give me your contact info." And delay them for about 20 minutes while I check their license and registration and lecture them about abandoning a special needs adult. "You get out of here and I'll check on you before my shift is over, and don't pick up any more hitchhikers." I left and went on to my destination. He called me to make sure I got to where I was going and told me that they were keeping an eye on the van and sonar. He told me he also contacted a colleague at the sheriff's department in the county where I was working, and that she would contact me in a day or two. While I was on assignment there, I spoke to 2 deputies and a detective about the woman and the van. No one ever told me anything about them, but they were very interested in them. My nightmare is one day I'll turn on a true crime show and see a report about this woman and her gang robbing and killing people. So woman, looking for a ride at a travel stop, let's not meet again.
Well, that's just creepy. What do you think they were doing, or they were hoping to do?
Do you think this was a setup?
I think so.
Okay, so what's the play here? A disabled woman is trying to get a hitchhiker, and then a van starts following you.
Oh, that's just creepy. I'll just go back right back to the gas station.
That's creepy. I mean, I would not pick up a hitchhiker under
never.
any circumstances.
I almost got kidnapped at school. This title is a little bit dramatic, but I had no idea how to call it. So I was in 9th grade at a really crappy school. The system there sucked, and it was located in a dangerous area of the city I lived in. I actually just remembered the story because it was so unusual for things like this to happen there that for me it was just normal, so I forgot it. But looking back at it now, I realize it was not normal. So I was in PE class, and we were running laps around the school on the sidewalk to stretch. I was with my friend, a group of 5 girls, and we were walking behind, as always, because PE for us was talking about the school drama, all period. So we were walking and talking about the recent drama when a red truck slowed down beside us. It wasn't unusual. Every time we were walking outside of the school, a creepy man would slow down, so we didn't thought of any of it and just kept walking and ignoring him. Yeah, huge red flag, right?
That's bad.
Near a school.
Every time you walk out, there's a guy in a van slowing down. You just, whatever. It's the same guy again.
I mean, I would report it to the teacher immediately.
No, just ignore it. It's the same weird guy again in the van.
No. Like, look, we saw his truck 2 or 3 times more. He was driving around the school and slowing down every time he passed by us. So we decided to tell our teacher that made us go back inside the gym. Okay, that's a good choice.
Yeah, I guess.
That's a sound choice.
Yeah, that's the right choice. That's a good choice.
We started playing whatever game we were doing when the teacher came to me and told me I was asked to the main office because someone was here to pick me up. I was panicking because no one was supposed to pick me up during class that day, and I thought that maybe something bad happened to either my mom or my dad or someone in my family. So I got changed into my normal clothes, grabbed my backpack, and rushed to the office. When I got there, the lady told me that there was a man waiting for me outside of the main doors. I got a little confused because usually when my parents came to pick me up, they'd wait in the hall until I got there. I took a look through the glass door and saw an old man. I had never seen this man once in my life. I quickly walked back to the office and told the lady that I didn't know him, and she told me next froze me. She told me that he said he had a friend, he was a friend of my parent, and that they asked him to pick me up because my mother got into a car accident. He told the lady my name and my last name, my age, my mom's name, and the grade I was in. I was shocked and immediately asked her if I could call my parents to confirm. So I called my dad, and he told me my mom was just fine and he was at work. The lady, yeah. But this kid was smart though.
This kid is really smart.
Yeah.
I'm thinking about myself at 9th grade.
What would you have done?
Probably like, let's go. Where's mom?
Tag along with the guy?
Yeah.
Get kidnapped?
Yeah, I feel like it would be pretty easy to kidnap me.
Oh jeez.
Back in the day.
That little kid in the picture. Remember?
Oh, he's that kid.
Well, the lady just told me to go back to class, and I never saw that man again. I never knew what happened after I left, and how did he knew all of this information about me. My parents talked to cops about this, and there was never anything. We never had answers. Since that happened, I moved into a much safer city, and I hope I'll never see this man again.
Wow, this one's really bad. This is the one where I even got like chills in my spine just listening to it because this is, I mean,
a stalker.
But allegedly, this is a real story.
I wonder if they let him free though.
No, I mean, I don't think they even got to him, right?
You think so? You think he just walked away?
I mean, did it say in the story that the police ever found this man?
No.
Right. I mean, this is just so
like a predator.
Freaky. This is so freaky. So this man knew the girl's
information, like basic information, yeah. First name, last name, enough to pretend.
Yeah, he was definitely trying to kidnap.
Yeah, but why specifically that little kid, and how come he's still free?
The only problem with this is that if he was so meticulous in grabbing the girl's information, he must have known for certainty that he would become number one suspect.
That's true.
Once the girl goes missing, like he's definitely like there's a bunch of witnesses, and I feel like if you're gonna kidnap a kid and you're gonna go through that length,
yeah, it wasn't too subtle about it.
No, maybe it was just some deranged freak
Yeah, but still smart enough to gather basic information about a kid.
Yeah, but that's the thing. Maybe this was just some freak who maybe didn't even have the intention of killing the girl. Because, I mean, you are really putting yourself out there. You're talking to school staff.
Showing your face.
Showing your face. There's probably security cameras everywhere. So this is just freak, you know?
Still really
Just
creepy
like a
though.
really...
I wouldn't feel safe after that.
No, this is just a
kid.
messed up freak, you know? Man, I'm glad that girl had the right idea to kind of verify this, because school staff is like, oh yeah, go pick her up. But I'm glad everything worked out.
Yeah, I'm glad that kid was smart enough.